Hi, welcome back to the channel. So today we're delving into the CIA analysis and assessment of the gateway process. As the title suggests, it's a document that is an analysis and an assessment. So it was produced by Lieutenant Colonel Wayne McDonnell in 1983. McDonnell had been tasked by the CIA to assess the gateway process in terms of its mechanics and practicality. It is believed that the report was part of the CIA's investigation into the possibility of using mind control for its Cold War espionage efforts. McDonnell underwent a week-long training program at the Monroe Institute on the gateway process. Not only that, he researched various sources ranging from quantum mechanics, theoretical physics, biomedicine, and he investigated phenomena such as hypnosis, biofeedback, and transcendental meditation in order to get a full picture of what we are dealing with here. So basically, McDonnell was tasked to go through the gateway process, to experience it himself, and then to report back his findings to the CIA. The report was declassified in 2003. Before getting into the findings of the report itself, I want to give you a little bit of context regarding the Monroe Institute and the inception of the gateway process. So what is the gateway experience? The Gateway Experience is a training system developed by the Monroe Institute during the 1970s. It uses meditation-like techniques combined with sound technology to facilitate altered states of consciousness. The Monroe Institute was founded by Robert Allen Monroe. Monroe owned a company that produced network radio programs. In 1956, he created a research and development division to study the effects of various sound patterns on human consciousness. According to his own account, while experimenting with sleep learning in 1958, Monroe experienced an unusual phenomenon, which he described as sensations of paralysis and vibration accompanied by a bright light that appeared to be shining on him. Just a little side note, does that experience remind you in any way of the experience Philip K. Dick described in his book Exegesis? Well, there sure seems to be parallels. If you haven't seen my series of videos on Philip K. Dick, there's a separate playlist. Go watch it if you're interested. But back to Monroe and his journey. Monroe went on to say that this type of experience occurred about 9 times over the next 6 weeks, culminating in his first out-of-body experience. After having that initial out-of-body experience, Monroe was able to travel out of body at will. In 1971, he published his first book called Journeys Out of Body, detailing his travels outside of space and time. The same year, Monroe founded the Monroe Institute of Applied Sciences. In 1975, Monroe registered the first of several patents concerning audio techniques that were designed to stimulate brain functions so that the left and right hemisphere become synchronized. Monroe held that this state, which he called Hemi-Sync, for hemispherical synchronization, could be used to promote mental well-being or trigger altered states of consciousness. Monroe's concept was based on an earlier hypothesis known as binaural beats. The Institute subsequently developed a highly experimental program for the training of consciousness called the Gateway Experience. It is called the Gateway Experience because the technique is a gateway into different modes of perception. There are levels to the program. I will link a report by the Monroe Institute in the description box below. The levels described in that report are Focus 10. This level trains the participants in the art of deep relaxation. In it, they learn to think with images rather than words. Focus 12, this level trains participants how to control out-of-body experiences and roam through other energy systems. Focus 15, the level after that, involves further expansion of consciousness, which allows you to travel into the past. Focus 21 is the last and most advanced of all the focus states associated with the training, and it involves movement outside of the boundaries of space-time. According to the Monroe Institute, participants of the program benefit in numerous ways. Apart from all kinds of expansive experiences, participants gain a sense of growth and enjoyment, an increased sense of self-worth, as well as strengthening of the interior sense of direction. Today, the Monroe Institute is a non-profit education and research organization based in Faber, Virginia, United States. Upwards of 20,000 people are estimated to have attended the residential Gateway program during its first 30 years of existence. In the description box below you will find links to the Institute as well as to an interview with Robert Monroe from 1992. There are a bunch of facts stated in the report which go against our mainstream materialist view of the world. However, those facts or concepts share the same fundamental characteristics as those known to the learned elite of particular civilizations and high-achieving cultures of antiquity. Aspects of the underlying worldview can be found in Tibetan Buddhism, Hinduism, as well as in Judeo-Christian streams of thought. I tried to summarize the main points of that underlying worldview as laid out in the CIA report. It's a series of 16 statements. I'll give you time to read through them now, or you can take screenshots. So now that we are aware of the fundamental worldview behind the Gateway experience, we can look into the mechanics of the method. Fundamentally, what happens is that when you enter into a relaxed state, there is a change in the sound frequency with which the human heart resonates throughout the entire body. And this resonance is important because it is directly transmitted to the brain, which stimulates the brain to raise amplitude and frequency of the brainwave output. And that resonance produces an ultra-low frequency sound wave, which propagates in consonance with the electrostatic field of the Earth. The entire body then functions as a tuned vibrational system. And by resonating with the Earth's electromagnetic sphere, the human body creates a powerful carrier wave that allows the mind to communicate with other human minds that are similarly tuned and presumably also with other life forms. The way information is gathered at these higher levels of vibration is through visual perception of symbols, oral perception, or flashes of holistic intuition. A side effect of this process is that you can have out-of-body experiences. I would now like to turn to a couple of interesting data points that are included in the report. From what we've learned so far, we can say that reality can assume many forms. Depending on the oscillation of energy, it can take on physical or non-physical forms. The report includes a drawing relating the absolute to our space-time dimension. As you can see in the drawing, granted that it is a crude simplification of things, below the Planck's distance of 10 to the minus of 33 centimeters per second lie other dimensions that still oscillate but at a much more refined rate. The way I read this is the energy field of an average human being oscillates in the confines of this space-time corridor, and a person trained in out-of-body experiences and hemispheric synchronization can oscillate beyond those confines in a conscious way. So in the corridor between the Planck's distance and the absolute are the other dimensions that can theoretically be reached. And to enter those intervening dimensions, the human being must be able to accelerate his or her energy pattern so much that if you were to measure it on an oscilloscope, you would read a flat line. The CIA report mentions something else that caught my interest. It is the cosmology of an American-Israeli scientist and inventor, Isaac Bentov. Bentov is quoted throughout the report, citing from his book Stalking the Wild Pendulum from 1977. The book lays out the mechanics of consciousness. This is fascinating stuff. I'm going to link an interview with Isaac Bentov in the description box below. That video also includes a presentation of a lot of Bentov's theory. I can highly recommend you watch this. I wish actually this were taught in school, It's unimaginable how much the world would change if people were aware of this information. So with regards to the evolution of the cosmos, Isaac Bentov describes the concept of the cosmic egg. Let's look at this diagram. It is a model that depicts the process of space-time evolution. So in the middle you have what Bentov calls the nucleus, which ejects a jet of matter from a white hole. And this jet of matter enters an ovoid or egg-like shape when it expands into the universe and then turns back on itself, departing via a black hole. That whole structure constitutes the universal hologram. Following the ejection from the white hole at the top of the egg, time begins as a measure of the cadence of moving energy that goes around the shell of the egg. Since that egg shape is being simultaneously generated by matter in all the various phases of time, it reflects the development of the universe in the past, the present, and the future. When looking at this cosmic egg model, we can start to see how someone with a sufficiently developed conscious state would obtain information, concerning the past, present, and future, since they all exist in this universal hologram simultaneously. The gateway experience is a way to expand consciousness. It is a step-by-step procedure that involves repetitive practice. And the CIA report claims that the rate of the progress one can make with the program is much faster than any of the known systems, such as transcendental meditation, yoga, or any religious system known to us. Apart from the opportunities such a training system offers us, I found the following information valuable and will keep it in my notes as my personal takeaways. our time today, we are witnessing a convergence of modern science and ancient philosophical wisdom. The content covered in the CIA report is a modern-day version of knowledge which has been available to humanity in countless ancient wisdom traditions. So in that sense, it is not new. However, the gateway process might just be an effective way for people in the Western world to expand their consciousness. It might assist us in balancing out the self-imposed limitation of our left brain-centric culture. And as with all methods and techniques that look to advance consciousness, of course, caution is advised. If you would like to try the gateway process, there's a link in the description box. Just be sure you go at a pace that allows you to integrate information along the way so that you sort of stay grounded. When you go too fast, you can end up having a psychosis or similar adverse effects. So while expanding your consciousness certainly is desirable, you want to make sure that you stay able to function in the reality that we share in this dimension, and that you're able to make a valuable contribution here. After all, as Itzhak Bentov says, we are all moving back to the absolute anyway, sooner or later, so there is no rush. I, for myself, have not tried the process yet. If you have, I'd be interested in getting your experience or your take on it. Please put it in the comments. That said, I hope this has been of interest, and I will see you in my next video.